Hundreds of young black conservatives gathered in our nation's capital on Friday and over the weekend for a leadership summit hosted by Turning Point USA at, as you can see, the White House.
All right, during the summit, the movement known as Blexit was launched in an effort to help African-American voters exit the Democratic Party.
Candace Owens, she's the driving force behind Blexit, behind that movement, and communications director for Turning Point USA, and she joins us now. Hey, I saw that Kanye was talking about these hats.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that story really blew up overnight. It was suddenly
and he
international.
helped with the design?
So, you know, I'm friends with like one of the greatest designers of all time. So of course, when I had conceptualized Blexit all by myself, separate of him.
Blexit is your idea.
Blexit is me. I came up with it in February before Kanye even tweeted me. And he's a designer. So, you know, I brought him a hat that I had made, and I was like, do you like this? And he said, no, I don't like it.
He goes, no, I don't like it.
Like that.
And he gave you that. Can you hold that up?
No, so he didn't give me this. So he had introduced me to a designer that was making these this calligraphy letters that were based in human beings, which was largely inspired by Uganda.
Sure.
And he helped me, that designer helped me create an entire font that we then put on hats.
So explain for us what Blexit is and how you came up with the idea. You were watching a television.
Yes, the black exit from the Democrat Party because it's time that we stop allowing them to use us for votes and deliver none of the promises that they ensure every election cycle. And I came up with it actually backstage at CPAC. I got slammed out of hearing Trump speak because I was too late to go to the doors, and I was shoved into this tiny little room with Nigel Farage, and we were watching the president speak. I looked up and I said, oh, that's the guy who did the Brexit thing. And I said, we really need a Blexit in America.
There it was.
And there it was. The idea was hatched.
Al Sharpton, he was on another network, and he was saying that the folks that were there were being used as props. Listen to this.
This was among the lowest things that he could ever do. They're talking about CNN sucks, they're talking about build a wall. So why do you need a Young Black Summit to do it? Because it was not a summit, it was a Make America Great rally. They used some young blacks as props, which really is an insult to them.
Are you insulted by that? Are you a prop?
I thought it was tremendously hurtful, and it was also frustrating because we had a lot of students there who literally were coming out of group homes, who didn't know what to wear, who were wearing their grandma's dresses, and the amount of emotion when Don Jr. came up the night before and they were just crying and they were so thankful that a president had ever invited them to a White House, that we went above and beyond to make sure that we could cover their expenses, and to have him just insult the entire movement without reaching out to so much as one person to hear their story. It was frustrating, but then, you know what? It proved my point. Because that's what the Democrats view black people as, props. And so he just stuck them into his narrative. He had no idea. He stuck them into his narrative and his talking point. He did not reach out to speak to any of them because he doesn't care about them. And that's the point that we're trying to get them to understand.
And we just met about an hour ago. We met a couple of the young ladies who were there, and it changed their lives.
Right. It was completely transformative, a new perspective, and they're feeling tremendously empowered. And I have no doubt that by 2020 there will be a black exodus from the Democrat Party.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Candace Owens.
All right, last night, Saturday Night Live didn't surprise anyone, opening up their show mocking President Trump and Kanye West. Take a look.
If you hit Chicago, some people call it Chirac, but the murder rate is going down 20% every year. And pretty soon it's going to be a negative murder rate. We're going to be digging bodies out of the ground.
Wow, this guy can talk. He doesn't stop. He doesn't listen to anyone but himself. Who does he remind me of?
And I don't want to brag, bro. I don't want to brag, but I really have a high IQ. I'm a stable genius. I got a big brain, and I got the best words.
Oh, my God, he's black me.
So did SNL go too far? Along with our panel, let's bring in co-host of The Five and author of the new book, What the Hell Do You Have to Lose? Trump's War on Civil Rights, our friend Juan Williams. Come on then, Juan, let's have a heated debate. Let's start with the Kanye thing, and then I want to make sure we get get clear about what your book's all about. I think the way that Kanye West has been treated, and you know that I totally detest racism, and we've had good conversations about that in the past. I think the way he's been treated has been racist. He's been singled out for his beliefs precisely because he's black, and that's happened to him from the liberal community.
I don't think so, Steve. I mean, clearly, if he had a specific belief of substance, if there was an argument to be made, and especially for you, a populist argument, because I think there are lots of black people who want the kind of populist response that you advocate. But I don't think that's what he was about. I don't know what his agenda was in there. I thought it was really a troubling session. I mean, using profanity, you know, saying that the red Make America Great Again hat is his Superman's cape, saying that Trump is a father figure. He sounded like a very hurt, troubled child.
Well, that's the stuff. OK, I've got two responses to that. First of all, I think there was real substance in there. He talked about family breakdown. He talked about business and entrepreneurship. I thought it was really serious, actually. He talked about crime. But when you use words like troubled and all that, that's the bit that I find kind of patronizing. You're saying, look, he's got to be kind of basically mentally ill. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a black person supporting Trump.
No, I didn't say that. I said he. And by his own, I mean, he's been hospitalized. By his own admission, his own lyrics, he talks about bipolar disorder. After he left the White House, he went over to an Apple store here in Washington, got up on a table and started ranting. You can understand why people say, hey, what's with this guy? But I don't think that's the point. I think that would be insulting to people who have mental illness and who are perfectly functional. I think the point is the substance. And you were saying, oh, you thought that he was talking about violence. Look, I think this is part of a distortion. I think Trump really is not talking to the black community, even with Kanye sitting across from him. He's talking to white Americans who say race relations are worse under this president, that they disapprove of how he handles race. Here is Trump saying, I have a black friend. I have Kanye West, and look at him, a black friend in a red hat. Don't worry about people who say I have a problem with race or immigrants.
That's really... honestly, I think that's really offensive, frankly. And anyway, let's get to it in a second. But I want to make sure, because the panel here dying to get in, but I want to make sure that we broaden it out a bit and just tell us the argument in your book, Juan.
Well, I think the argument is, as you know, the president said, what the hell do you have to lose? And it was reported as he was saying this to black America, as in, to paraphrase him, you live in neighborhoods that are more violent than Afghanistan. You have no jobs, your schools are terrible, your streets are filled with trash, and you've been backing Democrats. Come on over to my side, vote for me, Donald Trump. Again, I think he wasn't speaking to the black community, Steve. I think he was speaking to the white people, overwhelmingly white audience. He never went to a black community to say that. He never spoke on a black program or to a black convention of any kind about it. Okay. I think he was saying to that white group in front of him, I, Donald Trump, am no snowflake. I'm not a PC guy. I'm going to point out the problems in the black community and say it's a threat to all of us, and I'm going to stand up there and repel it. I mean, he talks about black people as if they're all poor, you know, the 20% who are in poverty. He doesn't talk about the tremendous striving that has most of black America, the majority, clearly in the middle class.
Yeah, but it's also true. There's an undeniable fact that so much of the disadvantage that has hurt black people and black families has come about as a result of policies that are in the control of state and local government that for decades has been controlled by the Democrats. Anyway, let's just stop there. I want to bring in Teslin and the rest of the panel.
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't think it's fair. I don't like seeing Kanye West's mental illness exploited in that way. He has become clean and said that he's bipolar, but I do think he brought some valid points that we're not able to discuss because he has talked about the mental illness. But what my question to Juan Williams is, Juan, let's go ahead and be honest. Let's go ahead and keep it real in the field for the people who are watching. Even if Kanye West was not mentally ill, the simple fact that he has went against what the black agenda or what the quote-unquote black delegation has told us what we can and cannot say, anytime that you have an opinion that is different from what the Democrat or what the Democrat establishment tells you to do, you are automatically ostracized. Juan Williams, you lost your contract based on what he said about Muslims. I've lost my contract based on what I've said about immigration on Fox News. Juan gets dragged on Fox all day, every day, and he's even been told he's a sellout. I've been told I'm a sellout. We are not mentally ill. We are not bipolar. So let's ask Juan. Are you mentally ill? Is that the reason why people drag you all over Twitter because you're black? The bottom line is when you're black and you have a different opinion other than what they tell you to say, we get ostracized for it. So let's be honest and tell the people the truth that this is about a black man that does not agree with other black people tell him to do. And I don't agree no more with Kanye than I did Jay-Z when he was standing and bootlicking Obama's boots. Same boots were being licked, just a different president.
Well, I'm glad you're so honest.
Hold it, wait. Oh. No. I want Tommy, come on.
Well, you pretty much summed it up. I mean, how can I compete with that? I mean, your passion is obvious here. And, you know, you and I were talking about this before. I think the fact that he's there, the fact that he's inspiring other black Americans to come out and support who they want to support the president, be independent thinkers, I think that's great. However, I think that Kanye got what he wanted, and that's that the United States and the world are talking about Kanye West. I don't know why we're still talking about Kanye West, to be quite honest with you. I wish we were talking about building a wall. I wish we would be talking about we were talking about tax reform and tax breaks for everyday Americans across the United States. I wish we were talking less about this and more about the issues that impact real people.
Well, just I'll say that there are a lot of Americans who do not fit in a neat conservative or liberal box. There are a lot of folks who have idiosyncratic opinions, and my feeling is that those people tend to get locked out of our political conversations. You know, in my book, Melting Pot or Civil War...
Here it is. I want to hold it up because it's a really great book, by the way, and everyone who cares about immigration, you've got to get this book. I really mean it. It's seriously good.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. But a big part of the concern is this idea of annihilationism, this idea that we don't want to exist alongside people who have different political opinions. And the truth is that we're always going to have that diversity in our country. It's a good thing. It can be a source of strength, but we need to accept that diversity of opinion and not stigmatize it, not demonize people who don't fit in one box or another.
All right. Well, we haven't got much time, but we've got to get Juan back on the bootlicking and other issues. Come on.
Well, I mean, I was really appreciative of that comment because it strikes me as such hypocrisy when you hear conservatives absolutely throwing their arms around Kanye, the Kanye West, the guy who said George W. Bush doesn't care about black people, but also that when Common, Jay-Z, and other rappers came to the White House with Obama, it was like, oh, these guys are thugs. These guys talk about gangsters. They use the N-word in their lyrics. And I thought, boy, this is crazy. Now they put their arms around Kanye. Obviously, this is political expedience. It's not about substance, and that's the key. I'm someone who does get beat up because I have my own opinions. They're what I think. I'll tell you. I don't try to obey any orthodoxy. But when it came to Kanye, I don't know exactly what the agenda or substance was other than promoting Kanye and talking about his ego and his desire to have Trump as a father.
I think that it felt to me like there was serious substance there put in a way
Name
that you
one
don't
thing,
know. Wait,
Steve.
on Family Break, no, wait.
No,
on
Steve,
Family
come on.
Breakdown,
He wasn't
how that's
there to
hurt
talk
black
about
family.
Family
Hang
Breakdown.
on. Yeah, he absolutely was. His own family, not to mention everyone else's, how much that has hurt him. That was deeply emotional. That's what we should be talking about in politics, on welfare, on business, on entrepreneurship, on crime. These are serious issues, and for you to just dismiss it,
If he was there
I think
doing
is
what
ridiculous.
Steve Hilton just said, I would have said that's great. He did not do that,
He was!
Steve.
Oh, my God. He absolutely was one.
Steve, he didn't even come close. The closest he came was talking about some guy that's in jail.
No. That you were watching the parody. All right, anyway, nice to see you. Well, thanks a lot. See you soon.
Thank you.